Nearly 74% of Mississippians are not involved in a religious congregation. That's over 2 million people who do not go to church, according to a Religion Insight report from Mission Insight, an online demographic mapping database. Jesus commands all Christians in the Great Commission, spelled out in Matthew chapter 28, verses 19 and 20, to make disciples of all nations, which leaves congregations a lot of ground to cover in the Mississippi mission field. That's why the Mississippi Conference Office of Faith Community Formation provides numerous tools and consultation opportunities for congregations to multiply their efforts towards achieving the Great Commission. Lighthouse congregations, hospitality training, and Fresh Expressions are just 3 of Faith Community Formation's many outreach initiatives.
In Matthew chapter 5, verses 14 through 16, Jesus tells his audience at the Sermon on the Mount how believers are to be light in a dark and dying world by doing good works and glorifying God. Lighthouse Congregations is an initiative created to be both a safe place for people to explore their next steps on their faith journey, post-church closures and disaffiliations, and to steer churches to refocus on several foundational tenets of faith communities. Churches that pursue the process of becoming a lighthouse congregation take an introspective look at the ways in which they can illuminate how they engage in worship, discipleship, sacrament, pastoral care, discernment, mission, and healing.
Reverend Michelle Bailey, pastor at Beauvoir United Methodist Church in Biloxi, explained that the church's lay member to annual conference brought the Lighthouse congregation information back from the conference. As Bailey and the lay leadership began the process of becoming a Lighthouse congregation, they saw opportunities to shine in the areas of mission and healing. Bailey shared that the church is strong in mission.
With missions, our food pantry is very strong, and we also offer opportunities for various groups to use our facilities, such as the prison ministry, use our facility. We have a support group for Parkinson's, uses our facility, and several other community organizations. We also have recently hosted the Free Bethel Health Clinic for our city, for the city of Biloxi, at our facility for several months while their facility was being repaired.
However, after much conversation, the church's leadership felt there were some opportunities for growth around healing.
We have a Lectio Divina prayer group, and they do retreats, and we realized that offering that to the congregation on a wider basis than just a small group would be a wonderful way that we could expand the opportunity for folks to have ways of spiritual renewal and spiritual healing. And then we decided we would focus on healing for our Lenten period. And we also have had one healing service, one candlelight service that was focused on healing, and are planning another one for the fall. It was very helpful to work with Trey one-on-one as a pastor, and then also for me to be able to turn around and do that with the leadership of the group, of the congregation, and that was helpful for me to be able to communicate to them these various concepts of intentionality and interconnectedness, and how we can be a safe place for others who are seeking a community of faith.
Grace United Methodist Church in Iuka is the new church start that began the process of becoming a lighthouse congregation and utilized several resources from Faith Community Formation. They used a report about their surrounding area from Mission Insight.
Mission Insights kind of led us into some information that we really needed. We found that more than, in every one of these categories, more than 50% of our county felt this. They were either disillusioned with religion, did not trust organized religion, or thought religion was too focused on money, or it was too judgmental, or that our beliefs were too strict and inflexible. 78% perceived that there was a continual source of conflict, both social and political, within the church. and 70% said they did not feel welcome attending a church.
Seeing a need to overcome this barrier, the church then pursued Faith Community Formation's hospitality training and began incorporating several practical ways to welcome people in their worship service. Kennedy said that some of the fruitful activities that they have implemented are having the church start welcoming people from the parking lot, at the door, and at a hospitality table upon entering the church.
You have a 16-year-old boy he's usually the first to the cars to encourage them to come in, to give them a bulletin and so on and so forth. And that created a very positive first few seconds of time. And of course, once they got toward the church, there were people at the door to greet them, people to help them get seated, whatever needed to be done. And a hospitality table where we had food and refreshments, and we invited them to come and partake of those so that we could have a conversation with them. We wanted to try to connect as much as we could in that tiny time frame before we started with worship. And folks have just, the response has been unbelievable. It has just been very, very positive. We had one lady who said, the moment I put my hand on the door handle to go into that church, I knew I had found my home. And that all started with her reception in the parking lot.
Kennedy shared that they began averaging 25 people in weekly worship last year in July and quickly moved to 50 folks in worship on average weekly. Grace United Methodist Church had 75 people in attendance this Easter and now face a good problem. They're running out of room.
Fresh Expressions is an initiative to create faith communities that focuses less on the building and more on the aspect of spiritual formation, that is, the process through which one takes on the inward characteristics of Jesus. Scripture says that Jesus did spend time in synagogues, and he often met people where they were, at a well, on his way to his next destination, over meals, and many other like instances. Fresh Expressions are extensions of existing congregations that aim to cultivate faith and community for persons who have never been involved in church or have left the church. Usually led by lay people, Fresh Expressions take church outside of the traditional building and create conversations that introduce people to Christ.
We have created a vision for La Misión, and that's how God asked me to call this La Misión, the mission. And La Misión, one morning, God woke me up at 4:00 in the morning and said, "Wake up, Marta, go get you a pencil and a notebook and write." And he said to me to create a place where Latinos will feel respected, loved, encouraged, and nourished in order to improve their lives and in order to improve the community or be part of the community.
Bolin was a lay servant at the time and pursued Fresh Expressions training as a means to fulfill her call. She says that Fresh Expressions encourages participants to start with the project first. So she did.
I went to the library, the public library here, and I suggested the director, why didn't we do a reading program and to read in Spanish to the Latino kids in our community and also in English. And so we came to this thing about, you have books here that are in English and in Spanish. Well, no, they have very little books in Spanish and of course no books in English and Spanish. And so anyway, we started all the churches around here, all the United Methodist churches, my family in Puerto Rico and other friends that I have, a lot of friends. We decided to come together and donate books to the library in memory of my mother, Priscilla Sobrino. And she was an English teacher, English as a second language teacher, and I know she would appreciate that. So we tried to donate books to the library so the kids will have a variety of books there. Well, to my surprise, people got really carried away, and all the United Methodist churches here in town and around town and my friends and family were very excited. And we donated to the library probably over 1,000 books. We got to develop a very, very good relationship. And that was the first thing that we needed to do in order to continue our program with Fresh Expressions. So by the end of the summer, we did with them a focus group, and we talked about their needs, and we talked about what they really needed, what this community really needed here in New Albany. How could we help? What could we do? And so I still got that piece of paper where we put actually on a door that was there at the library, put a piece of paper and just wrote all their ideas that they had. The most important of them was that they needed help for tutoring. And tutoring their kids helps with doing homework. Most of these women did not speak English, so it was very hard to help their children do homework and things like that. And so that was the number one concern. The second concern they had was basically translation services, because they had to go to doctors, they had to go to meetings, they had to go to school, they have to do this and that and the other. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is that through this opportunity of starting this program in the library, we came in touch with a community that had a lot of needs and gave us the opportunity to find out what those needs were.
So the fair spurred translation and tutoring services and created space for Boland to build trust and relationships with those she served. This opened a door to devote efforts to their spiritual needs as well. Boland said she added dinner church to the Fresh Expressions happenings, and people came from different denominations.
There were people from different places, different denominations. They just wanted to hear about Christ. So we did this with them. We also started what it was a spiritual coffee to learn, teach these families to be with, learn to use the Bible. We gave them Bibles and did Bible study, and we call it spiritual coffee. And that's how it all started, a little bit at a time. And our dinner churches were particularly the most interesting ones. We had over 100 people that would come to these dinner churches. And eventually, a church, a new congregation grew. And today, I have to say that for the last 2 years, we have a Sunday service that is in Spanish and English, both is bilingual, that I conduct. Since then, I'm now a pastor. Don't ask me how, by the grace of God. I'm just in this. But I have to say that without Fresh Expressions, probably this would not have happened like it has.
Over the last 5 years, La Mission, this Fresh Expression turned congregation, has flourished in its missional goals with community development, family, and spiritual development.
There are a lot of people in need of outreach here in Mississippi, and every faith community has a call to be a light in their communities, according to the Great Commission. Faith Community Formation has many resources and tools to help churches make disciples and apprentice people to learn kingdom living. For more information on Lighthouse congregations, hospitality training, Fresh Expressions, and ways to connect to other Faith Community Formation resources, visit the link on your screen.